guys, Marco the dog trainer here. Today we're going to be doing a quick video on the best crate for Goldendoodles. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you'll know I absolutely love these plastic Petmate Sky Kennels. They're the kennels I use personally, really cannot recommend them enough. Now, because Goldendoodles can be bred as mini, medium, standard, or sometimes we're just playing the Goldendoodle lottery where we don't know how big our little puppy is going to grow up to be. I had to put up a couple different sizes here to make sure that we're covering that wide variety of shapes and sizes. Okay, so I'll make sure to put the links in the video description to the 4 different models that we're talking about in this video. And I would definitely check out those links before you make any final decisions because they offer like lots of the manufacturer's weight recommendations and measurements and things kind of like that that can be really helpful for picking the right size. And we're going to talk through some of that in this video. Now, before we get into that, I also set up one wire crate on the end, and that's the ICrate by Midwest Homes for Pets. Now, I've got another video that goes into a lot more depth of wire crates versus plastic. But even though I really do 99% of the time recommend these plastic crates, there is a time and a place for wire crates. I mean, they're a little bit cheaper. They fold up into a really small space. So there can be some advantages to it. So what I'm going to do is lower in the video description, I'm going to put kind of an alternative recommendation, which is going to be the ICrate equivalent sizes of the different Petmate models that we're talking about. So that way, if for whatever reason, if you're just more of a wire crate kind of person, or it just fits your needs a little bit better, I'll make sure that we've got you covered there as well. So now why don't we take a closer look at the Petmate Sky Kennels, because that is really going to be my true recommendation for you guys. So here we've got the 48-inch model. Now, what they mean by 48 inches is the distance from front to back. Now, that's a really important measurement to understand because that will tell us, based on our dog's size, height and length, will this be appropriate for them, okay? Now, if we go down one size, okay, this is the 40-inch model, this is the 36-inch model, and this is the 32-inch model. Okay, so again, that measurement is going to help us decide based off of our dog's length and height, is this an appropriate size for them? Now, the second side that we want to be thinking about when we're picking out a crate is the manufacturer's weight requirements. Okay, so the 48-inch is for dogs 90 to 125 pounds. The 40-inch is for dogs 70 to 90 pounds. The 36 is going to be for dogs 50 to 70 pounds. And the 32 is going to be for dogs 30 to 50 pounds. So like I said, these 4 models should cover the wide variety of doodles out there. So I really do think we should have our bases covered with these 4 models. Okay, now what we're going to do next is we're going to take a closer look at these a little bit more individually because there are some slight variations in the different sizes that may help you decide which one's going to work best for your pup. All right, guys, so what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the main differences between these 4 models. And they're pretty much all the same crate. The only differences typically revolve around the type of lock that we have on the door and the level of escape proofing. So when we're talking about the 32 or the 36, they kind of have a typical lock that you would see on almost any plastic crate of any brand. Is that you just kind of squeeze the top and bottom, and that's what undoes the lock. And again, when we squeeze it, it's going to lock the poles into 2 locations, okay? Now, when we upgrade to the 40-inch model, we actually get an upgraded lock and door that's a lot more difficult for dogs to break out of or damage, where it's kind of like a dual lock that we have to unlock one piece in order to unlock the door. Okay, and now if you look at this carefully when you lock it, it's actually sending a pole into 4 securing locations instead of 2. Okay, so this one is going to be the hardest to escape out of these 3. Now, if we're talking about just a regular dog that doesn't have any type of severe anxiety or separation anxiety, all 3 of these will probably work fine. Now, when it comes to, anxiety and dogs breaking out of crates, I definitely have seen dogs break out of these 3 before, but this one is going to be the most secure out of these 3 smaller sizes. Now, when we upgrade to the 48-inch model, we have the same type of locking mechanism that we have on the 40. This door might just be a little bit thicker and a little bit more sturdy, but it's got the same mechanism and the same type of security there. But this crate specifically, I have never seen a dog break out of ever. And I've worked with a lot of dogs that have separation anxiety. Now, I think that it's because this specific model, the plastic on the crate is way thicker than the plastic on the smaller models. So, so a lot of times, even if my dog, technically needs one of these smaller ones, if they are known to escape the crate, I am usually going to opt for this one. Now, again, I'm not saying that this crate is marketed as escape proof, but I've personally never seen a dog break out of it. And when you're looking for an escape proof crate, like those really heavy duty metal ones, they are like $1,000. So this, if you're just looking for one last kind of last ditch effort of plastic crates before you start shopping around for the $1,000 crates, this is probably going to be your best bet. Now, in a second here, I'm going to take apart some of these crates just to show you how to, put them back together. And we'll have another couple things that we'll talk about as far as how we can secure all 4 of these crates to make them as escape proof as possible. But just to recap this thought, again, if we're dealing with a dog that just doesn't have any type of anxiety, any one of these will work fine. But if we're nervous about our dog breaking out of the crates, it's probably going to be one of these 2. And if we're really nervous about it, I'm going to opt for this one. All right, so why don't we take apart some of these crates so I can show you what that looks like. Okay guys, all 4 of these crates are pretty much the same. They have 3 pieces, a top piece, a bottom piece, and the door. We just kind of secure the top and bottom with some bolts. So I decided I was only going to take apart the one for this video. Now, anytime I break them down for storage or traveling, this is usually how I'm going to set it up. I put the top in the bottom and I throw the door in there just so it's not taking up a whole bunch of space. And a lot of times if I'm bringing different sizes with me, I just stack them all inside of each other. But that's just in case we're doing anything with storage. Now, when it comes to putting it together, we're just going to take the top piece, put it on the bottom, and we just have to make sure that all of the holes are lined up properly, okay? And now, as far as the door goes, we can actually decide which way we want it to open, depending on what our house is set up like. Okay. And then the last thing is pretty much just going to be bolting the top to the bottom. So the smaller models here, the 32, 36, and 40, we can put up to 11 bolts around the perimeter of the crate. We don't need a wrench or anything like that. You can just use your fingers. Now, if we're talking about just a typical dog that, is kind of chill in the crate, they're not trying to bust out or anything, I usually just do maybe 5 or 6 around the edges. But if I were ever working with a dog that was really trying to bust out of the crate, then I'm usually going to put all 11 in. Now, when we're talking about the 48-inch model, we can actually put 17 bolts around the perimeter. And again, that's what I was talking about earlier in this video about added security. And I'm pretty sure that's why I've never seen a dog bust out of that crate in particular. Now, one last thing before we wrap up the video is I just want to talk about the metal pieces on the crate, these kind of side vents and the doors. One of the big advantages of these models is that we can replace like the doors and stuff like that as needed. So let's say we've had this crate 5, 6, 7, 8 years and the door is starting to get a little rusty or something like that. We can just buy a new door to replace it. And that's a really inexpensive way to kind of add to the lifespan of these crates, because obviously it's a lot more expensive to just buy an entirely new crate when you really only need one new piece. So that's just an added bonus of all of these different models. So outside of that, I think that's pretty much everything you guys need to know about picking out the right crate for your pup.